Okay, so I've criticized Tony Khan's booking, but now the time comes to criticize Triple H's booking. Now, first thing I want to say is I have enjoyed Triple H's run for the most part since 2022, and I also enjoyed the early days of AEW a bit more than I do now, and I think both Tony Khan and Triple H are better than Vince McMahon. Not necessarily because of just booking philosophy, but because Vince McMahon would oftentimes change his mind and tear up scripts before the show went on live. He would drop angles and just, make a real mess out of things and shove things down the fan's throat. Whereas it feels like AEW and modern WWE don't do that as much. But I gotta be honest, man, the booking of the past few months have kind of opened my eyes. Now, first of all, I want to say that I still think Triple H is the guy who should stay in charge as a creative guy. He just needs to do some tweaking, some fine tuning here. But I will tell you that I do feel like the booking last year, the booking throughout most of 2023, I thought was phenomenal. That was stuff that was very well spread out and very well thought out. But there are some holes, here in the recent booking. For example, it seems to me like Triple H, and again, I haven't spoken to Triple H, I haven't read about this. This is just my observation. This is my observation watching the product. It seems like Triple H is, he doesn't seem as sharp as he was a year ago when it comes to building up credible challengers for the champions. Gunther and Cody Rhodes at Bash at Berlin, both of those challengers weren't really as well built as they could have been. I understand the whole story with Randy Orton complaining about that 3 count from the King of the Ring, but he still got pinned, and it is what it is. Who did Randy beat to get that shot? They should have at least done something like that. And now we're seeing it. We saw it with Kevin Owens. I like Kevin Owens, and I'm glad that the story of Cody challenging Kevin, it's not a bad story. In fact, ECW did it first in 1997. Taz was the ECW television champion, and he actually went out and challenged. He went out and he challenged Tommy Dreamer. Taz is one of those guys that love to fight. He's like Goku. He loves to fight. And so he's the kind of guy who's going to go out there and look for challenges. So it fit with his character a bit more than Cody. Cody likes to compete. He's a competitor, but he's not like bloodthirsty like Taz was, especially in that era. So it's not the worst booking in the world, but it really felt like Triple H had penciled in plans for SummerSlam, earlier in the year, and it really felt like with the B shows in between, he had to sort of map out what he was going to do with them. Now, that booking strategy is a hell of a lot better than the kind of stuff that Vince would do when he would just map out the next week's worth of television and the next month's pay-per-view instead of actually putting a bit more thought into it. I don't know if WWE has hired a continuity editor, but there are people you can hire that are, their job is to sort of like preserve the canon. You know what I mean? Preserve what the story's actually going to be. And that's the person that has to speak up when there's a plot hole or something that doesn't make sense and discuss it. Now, this booking, of course, I said, you know what? It was for the Berlin show. Gunther's going to beat a credible former champion in the main event. It wasn't the worst thing ever, and the match was good. That's fine. Again, these are not things that I feel like are actually like going to turn me off to WWE. It's little sort of cracks in the armor that I see that can be fixed. Now, on Raw Monday, there was another kind of strange bit of booking, and that is Sami Zayn challenging Gunther. Now, this feels a little bit like the Jack Perry, Bryan Danielson build-up, because Jack Perry got a pinfall on Bryan Danielson back at Double or Nothing, and now he's cashing in his title shot. Now, that was during an open challenge segment, so it wasn't like he had to win X number of matches. And he did get a win over Darby Allin at All In. So ultimately, the booking, even though I don't think Jack Perry is a credible challenger at this time, maybe down the road, but at this time he's not. I feel like he's just being booked there because of the reaction he got in Chicago at the New Japan show, and I think the idea is that if any CM Punk fans show up in Chicago, they're gonna boo the hell out of Jack Perry, and they're gonna appreciate Bryan destroying him. So that's the way I'm seeing it from Tony Khan, and I actually like that aspect of the booking. If the idea that Tony has is to have a main event where the heel is just hated and Bryan is like the aging champion who's in his last few runs, that all I think makes sense. But I still don't think Jack Perry's credible. So look, let me get to the Sami Zayn thing. So look, I like Sami Zayn. Please understand this has nothing to do with the performers. Sami Zayn's a great wrestler. Gunther's a great wrestler. It's not the talent. It's more so the booking. Sami Zayn definitely, I think, could get a title run at some point, especially with how over he was last year against Roman Reigns. I do feel like unless they're going to run a WrestleMania in Montreal, that may have been their one chance to catch lightning in a bottle. And I know a lot of wrestling fans that would have actually preferred Sami to win the title there. I don't think it would have been a great idea because it would have overshadowed the Cody win and the importance of Roman losing. I know they could say, well, Roman can get the belt back, but the idea behind Roman not losing the title and just getting it back is that Roman was going to have a multi-year-long reign where nobody could stop him, and then the guy who did stop him would be christened the next guy. And Cody was the guy they chose for that. Now, again, Sami was hot, though. No question about it, the bloodline got Sami over to a whole new level. But let's look at Sami. Yes, Sami did defeat Gunther at WrestleMania. Very, very good match. I feel like that match is actually underrated. When I read the Wrestling Observer star ratings, and I'm not trying to attack Dave Meltzer, but I thought that match was shortchanged. And yes, I know that the joke is that WWE, always gets lesser ratings than AEW, and I mean it's noticeable. But I felt like that match, because Dave loves Gunther and Sami's a great worker, I thought that match could break out because even though the match was shorter than a lot of title matches, it didn't go 25, 35 minutes, it told a great story just compacted in the time it was given. It really told a beautiful David and Goliath story. So I was happy that Sami won the title from Gunther, and now Gunther's the world champion. So ultimately, it's fine. And Sami being the guy to get the pinfall on Gunther, the first guy to pin him since NXT, I think. All of that makes logical sense, but the problem is that Sami is coming off of 2 straight losses to Braun Breaker. He lost at SummerSlam, and then he lost the rematch on Raw. And I feel like if they were going to book Sami against Gunther, if that was the plan, right? I feel like Triple H would have already started heating up Sami after losing to Braun Breaker. I feel like Sami would have gone on a winning streak on the way to the match coming up at Bad Blood, because that's probably where the match is going to happen. So, this is why I said earlier, this is why I think Triple H is booking all the A shows and filling in the B shows, because it just feels like Triple H as a booker should start to slowly build up the next big competitors. For all the criticism that Vince has gotten as a booker, and even I myself, even earlier in this video, talked about how Tony Khan and Triple H are probably better than Vince most of the time. Vince did a great job of building up challengers for Roman. Whether it be Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Riddle, all the different guys that he faced off against, Edge. He did a good job of doing that. And I feel like now, because Cody Rhodes is defending that title pretty much every month, right? It feels like they feel like they might be running low on time to build up guys, but you don't have to give Sami like a 6-month winning streak to get the title shot. That could work for some guys, and it certainly does work. But for Sami, you could have easily done a thing where Sami just gets hot. In fact, I had a booking idea last night as I'm watching Raw. An easy way to give Sami credibility, and I mean a lot of credibility against Gunther, besides just the pinfall at WrestleMania. Hear me out on this one. They should have done, and again, this is my idea. If you don't like it, let me know why in the comments. If you do, let me know why constructively. But I think they could have done like a fatal 4-way elimination match on Raw, right? where you've got like Sammy, Drew, whoever else, Jey Uso, whoever you want to throw in there. And it doesn't have to be those guys. It could be like Bronson Reed. It's whoever you really want. And you have Sammy, and you have it be an elimination match, and you have Sammy eliminate all three guys by pinfall. Not at the same time, not at once, but he takes one out, then the next one, then the next one. Now, I'm not saying he beats them single-handedly. That is not what I'm saying. But in some situations, you can have him outsmart one guy for a pin. You could have him eke out a victory after somebody else hits their finisher for the second guy. Then the third guy can drop the fall to the haluva kick, excuse me. To me, that's very simple booking, and that's an easy way to get Sammy credible. Please remember what I'm saying. I like Sami Zayn. I've been a fan of his since the El Generico days. And I think the Gunther match is going to be great. I mean, in ring, Gunther's just, he really is the ring general, man. That gimmick applies. It's just that to me, and it's not that Sammy isn't quote unquote credible because he is a great talent. It's that I feel like, and this, again, if I'm crazy, man, let me know. I'm not the only one because I have friends of mine that have been wrestling fans even longer than me who agree. It feels like Triple H is not thinking too deeply on building up the next logical challenger. So if I'm sitting here and I know that I have a few pay-per-views to go, I've got Bad Blood, I've got the Crown Jewel, I've got Survivor Series, and then Royal Rumble, and they may do a show in between that. We don't know yet. Probably not, though. At that point, I would start thinking, okay, I got to build up some challengers, give them some credible wins, you know, something to make it so that when we see Sami Zayn challenging Gunther, there's actually a slight bit of, questioning who's going to win. Now, people like myself and my friends and many of you that watch this video have been watching wrestling for years. And if you watch wrestling for years, you can kind of have a sixth sense about these things. And you know damn well that Sammy's not going to be the one to beat Gunther. You know damn well that this match is being established to give Gunther his win back from WrestleMania. And that's fine. I like the idea of Sammy being 1-0 against Gunther and Gunther being 0-1, but then it becomes 1-1. Sammy has one, Gunther has one. You can do the third match, at the Royal Rumble or somewhere else. Like, there's ways to do it, You could do the third match at the February show if they don't put Gunther in the chamber. There's a lot of different things they could do. I'm open for different kinds of ideas. It just feels like to me that these challengers for the world titles aren't being booked as well as they could have been. And I think I would like the world title picture. Obviously, we know that The Rock and Cody's the long-term plan. That's the plan for WrestleMania. Roman is not going to wrestle Rock at 41. He may wrestle him at 42, though, the following year, 2026. But obviously, The Rock is the one that's going to go against Cody next year. And I feel like they kind of know that. So they're sort of biding their time in a way. But I still think that knowing that The Rock is coming does not mean that you can't build up some other credible challengers, because if you build up new credible challengers, you could just as easy have a situation where you have a guy maybe not win the title, right, but come close to winning, and then you've got a top guy. You've got a ready-made star. So that's just, that's wrestling booking philosophy from watching this shit for 35 years and studying wrestling, watching how different guys do it in Japan, Mexico, the different territories. They all had their style. I just feel like Sammy needed a few more wins, and so did Randy and Kevin Owens for sure. They are top guys, but you got to sort of rebuild them. And even it doesn't have to be, like I said, 50 wins. It could be 2 wins on TV, strong wins against credible opponents, or, multi-man matches. That also works as well, and it's an easy way to pick contenders. So there you go. Anyways, what do you think? Am I going crazy? I'm just being real, man. Triple H, I still think he's better than Vince. I like what he's done with the talent, but there are cracks in the armor, and I sincerely hope that he does go in and fix these cracks in the coming months, because the business for WWE is so hot, and you can make a few small mistakes when business is hot, but when you start making big mistakes, that's when problems occur. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.